Hello all, and thank you for listening to another video of Mr. Laxton talking through these Algebra II notes. And today we're looking at section 8.5, which as you can see here is properties of logarithms. Alright, so we have these three properties as you guys can see here. We got one, and we have two, and we have three properties. Alright, today we're going to use these properties, and that's my essential question is how do I use these properties of logs to expand and condense expressions? All right, but then now what we're building up to is kind of like this section 8.6 is where we're actually going to be solving these logs. So as you look at here, we have 7 to the x equals 51. We're trying to find out, hey, what is that x value, right? We don't know it's exactly 2 because 7 squared is 49, so it's going to be 2 point something something something, right? That's what we're going to try to find and solve. What are those guys actually? All right, but before we do that, we got to know these properties so we can help us solve those. All right, so here we go. We have these three properties. The first one is the product property. The product property, as you guys can see here, is a product means multiply, so u times v. And then notice, what do we do when we break these guys apart? We have log of u plus the log of v. So multiplication means that you add when you break them apart. All right, and notice here when we have the quotient property, we have u divided by v, and notice what goes in between those guys. It's a minus, so division, so divide means subtract. All right, so that's those kind of the two ones that are similar. Now the power property is a little bit different than both of them. If you have a power, that power can come out in front. So notice here it goes both ways. If it's out front, it can go to the back in the exponent. If it's an exponent, it can come to the front. Okay, and that's going to be huge today as we go through. Okay, so these first three examples are a little bit different because they actually have these numbers and they give us that log base 9 of 5 is this and log base 9 of 11 is this. So we have to use 5 and 11 to make these guys, right? So here we go. This is log base 9 of 5 divided by 11. So that's going to be the same thing as if I use this quotient property. It's going to be the log base 9 of 5 minus the log base 9 of 11. Okay, because if I have two things that are dividing, I can break them apart and put a minus in between them. But now I know that the log base 9 of 5 is 0.732, and I have minus the log base 9 of 11 is 1.091. So now if I actually can just put that in my calculator and I can subtract those guys together, I get negative 0.359. Okay. The second one, we look at this, it's got 55, but we have to use 5 and 11 to make 55. But I know that the log base 9 of 55, I can use log base 9 of 5 times 11. And now I can break that into log base 9 of 5, log base 9 of 5 plus log base 9 of 11. Because I know that my product property, if I have two things that are multiplying, I can break them apart and put an addition in between them. So now I know that log base 9 of 5 is 0.732 plus the log base 9 of 11 is 1.091, and I add those guys together and I get 1.823. All right. The next one is example 3. It says log base 9 of 125. This one's a little bit different because I need to know a couple different things. I can't take 5 times 11 to get 125. I can't take 5 times 5 times... I can, if I look at that, I can take 5 times 5 times 5 to get 125. So what we have here is this is log base 9 of 5 cubed is 125. And I know that this cube can come out in front by this power property right here. So now I have 3 times the log base 9 of 5. So this is just 3 times 0.732, which is what? 2.196? Bam. Okay, so example 1, 2, and 3 are a little bit different, and I think examples 4, 5, 6, and the rest of these guys, when we're actually just expanding, condensing, will make a little bit more sense. Okay, so here we go. If we go on to example number 4, you have to expand these. So it's got 1 log. You have to expand it and make it into more than 1 log. So here we go. As I can see here, you have to ask yourself, what do you see? Do you see multiplication? Do you see division? Or do you see exponents? All right, so it's those three properties that we have up here. So I see, first of all, I see multiplication and I see an exponent. But I have to break apart that multiplication first because that 6 only talks to the x. All right, so here we go. As I break apart that multiplication, now this can be log base 5 of 2 plus log base 5 of x to the 6th. So I broke up the multiplication and I put a plus in between them. Okay, and then now the last thing that I see, I don't see any more multiplication, I don't see any division, I see this exponent that has to come out in front. So I have log base 5 of 2 plus 6 log base 5 of x. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is my final answer. All right, now this next one, example number 5, I notice that this 1/2 talks to everything. So that 1/2 can come out in the front right away at the beginning. So I have 1/2 log base 2 of 4x. And now I still see that I have multiplication here. So I have multiplication in between the 4 and the x. So now this becomes 1/2, and I'm going to kind of put a parenthesis here. So I have log base 2 of 4 plus log base 2 of x. And that right there is expanded. I don't have anything. Notice all my big numbers in front of my logs are just all by themselves. 4 and an x are all by itself. There's no multiplication, division, or exponents that you can break up there. All right, so here we go. The first thing I see in number 6 is I see that this division sign. All right, and you can use these ln's just the same way as we do logs, and that's okay. So now I have the ln of 3y to the 4th minus the ln of x to the third. Because remember, division means that you subtract. Okay, so now I can break these guys apart. I see an exponent here that can come out in the front, and I see multiplication here that I have to break up first. So I have ln of 3 plus ln of y to the 4th minus 3 ln of x. And then now still I see this exponent that can come out in front. So this is ln of 3 plus 4 ln of y minus 3 ln of x. All right, and that is expanded. All right, and hopefully this will make a little bit more sense when we get into section 8.6 is why we're doing these things and why this makes sense and why this is going to help us. All right, but we gotta bring these in first. All right, so condense. Here's a main thing for condense. Only one log and answer. All right, so you can only have one log in your answer if you're condensing. All right, so first of all, in number 7 and number 8, you have to move whatever numbers are out in front. Those go back to the exponents. All right, that's the first thing I always like to do. All right, so that 2 goes back to an exponent. So this is log base 3 of 7 squared minus log base 3 of x to the 5th. All right, and then now this minus tells me that I need to bring these guys together. So I have log base 3 of 7 squared on the top. I'm going to call that 49. Over, because that minus means division, x to the 5th. And notice here how I only have one log, and that is my final answer. All right, awesome. So now number 8, I go through, I like to move that exponent back first. So now I have log base 5 of 2 plus log base 5 of y to the 1/2 power. All right, and now this plus means that I can bring these guys together and multiply them. So this is 2y to the 1/2 power. And if you want to go one more step here, you can go log base 5 of 2 and then square root of y. All right, because that y to the 1/2 power is the same thing as the square root of y. All right, awesome. All right, so there is example number 7 and 8. You can only have one log in your answer. And like I said, once we do section 8.6, hopefully this will start to make sense about why we're doing these things. All right, so again, thank you for listening to this video, and we will see y'all later.